What you want, stranger? I don't have time for chit-chat. What chivalry? Perhaps you'll also fetch me a bib, so that I don't stain my tunic when I vomit at your words. And the politeness continues. Perhaps I am speaking with a noble. My apologies, my lord. Ha ha ha. Don't worry, traveler. I meant no offense. There are simply so many bandits here in Skyrim, and such few persons of character. As for my name, my clan once knew me as Anumla, but fighting folk call me the Swamp Knight. Lead, brave one, and I will follow. Lead on, brave traveler, lead on. Well, it's a short story. I carry a sword. I'm from the swamps of Black Marsh. Do you need me to continue, or can you piece it together from here? You're a clever one. Saw right through my glib response. All right, I'll tell you, but it's a long story, so you might want to sit down for this one. I was hatched in a small tribal village, lost in the swamps between Thorn and Hellstrom. In other words, in the middle of nowhere. As the hatchling of a small and pitiful clan, I couldn't afford to travel to the city and train under the guidance of the tribal guard. Right you are, but few boats stopped by my village. There were visitors. In fact, every few years, a recruiter from the city would come to the village and conscript those in the clan who showed promise. Only a handful of hatchlings were chosen. All of them were males. Males I bested in combat 100 times over. I figured the only way I'd be a soldier was to train on my own. So, one night, I went out into the deepest swamps with nothing but a hist branch. I committed myself to killing a feather serpent. On the second night, I thought I'd vanquish 3. By the first hour, my only goal was to survive. Somehow, I managed. I labored through the bog and hid inside a hollowed-out tree. I waited and watched for predators. And as I watched, I learned. I saw how the serpent camouflaged itself in the foliage, how the Leviathan waded effortlessly through the swamp, simply by refusing all effort. I saw how on bright days, the lizard used the Hackwing's own shadow to scuttle around unseen, and how on dark days, all creatures clung to the mist. By the time I was grown, I could slay 5 feathered serpents with a single slash and do it with my eyes closed. True enough, the name came when I joined a company of fighters, many of whom were celebrated warriors from all over Tamriel. There were members who served as honor guards for tribal chieftains, and those who trained under guild masters and various regiments of the Empire. There were even retired assassins from the renowned shadow scales of legend, but none knew of who I was, or why I was recruited to join the company. The truth was, I was never supposed to be there. I had found the invitation on a courier while traveling west toward Gideon. Undaunted, I told them the story of how I trained to become a knight. I used that exact word. In truth, I'd only heard the word knight in passing. But when travelers from strange lands used the term, their words spoke with a tone heavy with reverence. That's how I wanted them to speak about me. Naturally, the company laughed uproariously at my expense. They dubbed me the Swamp Knight, and I've been that ever since. Oh, they did. But Dalum A assured them I was on the up and up. He was our leader and the one who assembled the crew. I never asked him why. Maybe he was just curious. Maybe he ascribed it to fate. Maybe he thought he could make a wife out of me. That poor fool never had a chance. That's an old story. Back when the Hrothgar monks had milk in their beards from sucking their mother's teats. Okay, maybe not that old, but old. I was traveling in Black Marsh with a company of fighters. We fashioned ourselves the Honorable Eight. We were an elite band of fighters, hired to do jobs common sellswords weren't equipped for. At first, I thought the honorable part was a joke. Our company was made up of liars, drunkards, and lying drunkards. But they were all loyal. And they were all honorable. They were good beasts, mare and men. It wasn't, but Dalum A founded the company to be good and do good, to wash all the grime that stuck in his scales during the war. As such, he'd only agreed to work that didn't diminish what we stood for. But contracts have a way of leaving out the details. We were, and we did. The job was simple. Clear out a cave of necromancers that were terrorizing one of the clans that resided near the border. The clan said a hatchling had gone missing, and rumors were abound of corpses stolen for experiments, and live bodies turned into corpses. When we got there, the shadow scale Ula Wei scouted ahead as the rest of us waited near the entrance. He found bear traps and tripwires. The occupants were further in, he said, black-robed mages, chanting. The whole thing stunk like a Thalmor's wet diaper. Traps or no, bandits usually post sentries in and outside the cave. The Nord, Arnwolf, though, he got tired of all the standing around. Black robes and ominous words. Good enough for him. Dalum A gave the nod. Couldn't chance it. Some poor hatchling could have been on a table, about to become some sick bastard's war puppet. Sadly, no. The child was on the table like Ula Wei said, but she was already dead. The people around her were mourners. Black robes. They were refugees from Cyrodiil, Altmer, Kadjit, and Argonian, driven from Leaween. To the clans, they might as well have been wraiths. I don't know who struck first. It didn't matter. We killed them all. Well, all except one. It was an Imperial boy, hiding in a small crevice in the rock. I didn't know who he was, or if he was even with the refugees. The boy was a mute. Part of me thought it would be better to slay him, but another part of me saw the hatchling in the swamp, just trying to survive till morning. The company disbanded. Honor brought us together, and dishonor drove us apart. Me and the healer, Elia, went north. The boy, he followed. We split up in Bravo. Don't know why he chose me. Seems to me he was better off with a Breton. But as I kept going north, he never left my side. I don't think Elia would have wanted him around either. Males grow squeamish at the mere talk of children, let alone the sight of one. I kept going north, figuring at some point the boy would stop following me. Gotta give it to the little runt. He had courage. Eventually, I realized I could have walked right into the sea of ghosts, and the little Histcarp would have dove right in. I was halfway through the marsh when I decided to head back to Morthal. I turned to the pesky urchin and told him, "All right, you win." Imagine my surprise when I found myself talking to a patch of death bells. Ha 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 ha! There was no one there. Some may ask why I'm a knight without armor. Others contend I wear the mourner's clothes to honor the brave warriors I slay. Those in my company will tell you I wear it to mourn the refugees who died that day, and all the innocents who die in the pangs of war. I will tell you that there's only one thing in this world I truly mourn. My sanity! Ha 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 ha! Yes, there was Arnwulf, a former member of the Fighters Guild in Cyrodiil, a big Nord man with an even bigger laugh. In contrast, Ula Wei never said a word. He was a retired shadow scale, and the only noise he made was when he sharpened his daggers. Moontail was a conjurer who conjured monsters as quickly as he conjured lies. And Elia, a Breton healer whose lust for man had no cure. Then there was the Bosmer Indrel, lazy girl that one. When we made camp, she slept in the trees, but always with one eye open. There was a red guard named Bodan, a man whose gift of strings and tongue once earned him a place beside an Argonian tribal chief. And lastly, our leader, Dalum A, a legendary swordsman who fought in the Great War. I used to tell Arnwulf he was ugly enough to be one. Ha 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 ha! He never laughed so hard. I remember when Arnwulf used to get drunk. He and Elia would fool around a bit, but one time he had a little too much and got a little too brave. Half naked and beer-soaked with saliva, he climbed up the tree Indril was sleeping in. Ha! I've never heard such a high-pitched scream. Moments later, Arnwulf slumped down the tree, a gash running across the breadth of his face. He ran to Elia, of course, but she refused to heal him. We never did find out who let out that scream, although we all suspected it was him. An old friend? Well, I think we can rule out Arnwulf. This person's knowledge of the alphabet goes beyond the letter C. As for who it is, well, I have no idea. In life, you make a lot of friends and a lot of enemies. And this could be from any of them. They would if they knew how to write. Ha ha ha! Get someone angry enough, and they'll spend every ounce of their energy letting you know it. So we can't rule out anything. Believe me, I've made that mistake far too many times than I care to count. Hard to say. Aside from the fact that Dalame recruited mages, I'd say the biggest difference is the name. The companions already have a long history. We were trying to make one. But we were both founded on honor and glory. The fact that a few people around here still believe in it is a testament to their company. I can't even imagine Our company had to live up to an ideal, but the only people we let down was ourselves. But Iskramor is a real person, and he's up there in Sovngarde, shaking his finger at Torvar every time he gets drunk. Or maybe he's nodding his head in approval. I can't tell with these Nords if drinking yourself stupid is a sin. It was. I could tell you 1,000 stories of the glory days, but most of them only remind me of how it ended and what we lost. But the one I'll always remember fondly is the day we were delivering sacks of potions to a village full of Dunmer refugees. Many of my fellow Argonians didn't like what we were doing. Even Moontail scowled at the notion. But Talome stood his ground. There were sick children who needed these potions. It was the honorable thing. I thank you, Traveler. Your words are kind. Still, to some we were traitors, and it wasn't long before they made their feelings known. They ambushed our camp one night when the mist was thick. Skilled warriors with poison-tipped spears. The others fought them off as best they could. Dalome ordered me to stay with the cargo. One by one, I watched my friends emerge from the white, blood dripping from their wounds. Bodan arrived carrying Ulaway on his shoulder. He said more were on the way. He turned to Elia, but she shook her head. She was all out of magicka. Indril was the first to suggest we drank the potions from the shipment. Dalome said he would kill anyone who tried. I didn't even think. My company looked to me. They trusted me, and I knew then. It didn't matter how many of them were waiting for me in that mist. It was me against them, and I couldn't lose. The others wished me luck. Bodan stood up to speak, but it was Moontail of all people who said the words I'll never forget. Remember, child, he said, it matters not the size of their blades, or the size of their numbers, only the size of your heart. And on that day, it was big enough.
So, the Swamp Knight lives. Thank RK.
Bodan, what are you doing here?
Looking for you and Elia. I searched east and west, high and low. The sands of time flowed for many months, but I managed to find you both.
I haven't seen Elia since we parted in Bravo. How is she?
I'm sorry, old friend. She's dead.
No. How?
I don't know. She was found dead in her room at the Oak and Crozier in Carol. It's not the sort of establishment where an assassin can slip in unnoticed.
With Elia, he wouldn't have to. Not if he was handsome enough.
True, but there's a reason I sought her. The same reason I'm here with you now. Elia isn't the only one. It started with Ulaway. At the time, I was disheartened, yet I was far from surprised. A shadow scale builds a ledger of enemies that runs longer than a Leviathan's tail. However, while mourning one friend, there came news of two more. Arnwolf and Moontail had perished as well.
By the Hist. What about the others? Talame? Indril?
They're fine, as far as I know. The first thing I did was seek Dalome's counsel. He was surprised to see me, but gracious, as always. When I told him of what happened, he asked that I warn you and Elia, whereas he would stay and search for Indril. Although, to be honest, the Bosmer did not concern me as much as you two. You know as well as I do that no one will ever find her, so long as she doesn't want to be found.
Arnwolf. Moontail. Elia. Why?
A question without an answer, or perhaps far too many. When we were a company, there were no shortage of people who wanted us dead. Together, we could always fend them off. Apart, we are at their mercy.
Then we band together one last time. We take the fight to anyone and everyone who dares kill one of our own.
My friend, I see time hasn't frayed your passion. The problem is our enemy has not a face.
Forgive me, Bodan. All those years, all those lessons. And sometimes I wonder if I've learned anything at all.
You were always his favorite, and in this case you aren't in the wrong. Aggression may be what is needed. However, our best weapon at this point is our wits, not our blades. I've done some research on our past jobs, and it appears there is one unscrupulous lord we managed to thwart far more often than the others. A baron, in fact, by the name of Gabania. As it so happens, it seems one of his agents is in Falkreath, attempting to secure a fur deal with the local hunters. I have other leads as well, which I myself will attend to. If you can vet this one, perhaps we can narrow down our suspects.
All right, I'll find out what I can.
Be safe, old friend.
I know this isn't your fight, Traveler, but whoever killed the others must be one damn good fighter. And I'd feel better if you were by my side. You're a true friend. Even better, you're a strong one. This Baron has no idea who he's messing with. No, I don't think I'm gonna be all right. Not for a while. I'm gonna be confused, frustrated, and angry. Still, I appreciate the concern, Traveler. At times like this, I'm reminded what it is I value most, and why I have to see this through. Truth be told, it was always going to be in death. Maybe that's what the mourner's clothes were for. So when I saw them next, at least I'd be properly attired. I never thought I would be mourning them in this way. It's not. And I don't mean from assassins, but from himself. Bodan never really got over his wife's death. I don't know if I told you this, but every day he was with us was a fight to keep him alive. Dalum A used vengeance to motivate him. Looking into his eyes, I wonder if that's all but settled. But honor is a funny thing. Sometimes it trumps even love. We may not be a company, but he'd never abandon us now. If he thinks this is the best way to go about it, then I trust him.
Hold on. You've got the wrong guy. I never challenged you to a duel.
Do not tell me you're backing out now. I thought you Nord monkeys were supposed to be brave.
See? I'm not even a Nord.
Oh, please. You were certainly one yesterday. I remember you plain as day. The fool with the ridiculous brown hat.
What? Lots of people own hats. Some are even ridiculous.
You have a point. Perhaps you are not the person who annoyed me yesterday.
Oh, thank the divines.
No. You are the person who is annoying me today. For that, you will die.
Wait. You know who I work for. Please.
Ah!
If you're here to deride me or seek vengeance for your loved ones, then leave me. I am under no obligation to placate your desire for pain or emancipate you from your wretched existence. At least, not today. Ah, yes. And what, pray tell, do you wish to converse about? Politics? Religion? My two favorite subjects. Perhaps you wish to discuss both. How delightful! We could do that, but why even bother with the foreplay? The Thalmor butchered your friends and your family, didn't they? That must be it. That's why you want to talk. That's why everyone wants to talk. Well, you are too late. I am no longer a Thalmor. The clothes are just that. Clothes. I will not discard a perfectly adequate robe. Interesting. I was quite certain this conversation would become gradually more belligerent, not less. Is it possible that there is one individual in this bull netch of a province that is capable of reason? Now that I think about it, perhaps I have seen that muskrat of a beard before. I believe he even attempted to recruit me. He seemed to insist that his attire was all a canard, that he was actually in the employ of a wealthy baron who wanted a group of hunters dead. Come to think of it, I might have even agreed to the contract. It sounds like something I would do. I am almost sorry I terminated him. Now, when you put it that way, I am indeed sorry for my actions. I will simply have to murder more Nords to compensate. I hope that will serve as an appropriate apology. As a matter of fact, I seem to recall something regarding a Bodon as well. Here, take this. I certainly have no need for it.
If what that note says is true, then Bodon may get some exercise yet. Although by the looks of it, he's not the only one. Sellswords traveler. 5 by my count. Well, we better check on Bodon. If these sellswords are any indication, he's gonna have a lot of corpses to burn tonight. I am, and I'm not. It's different when we're all working together. I get that old feeling, like the gods and the Hist are on our side. In any case, let's go back to Morthal. If this Baron isn't responsible, maybe Bodon knows who is.
There you are, Swamp Knight. Just in time to help me clean up.
Bodon. It looks like that Thalmor was right. Gabania sent these men.
If these are Gabania's men, then that means the assassin is not.
So now what? What's our next move?
That, my friend, is for Dalume to decide.
He's here?
Indeed, he should be arriving at the Moorside Inn any moment now. Although, it's occurred to me I don't know this marsh as well as you two. Companion, do you mind leading the way?
Dalume. It really is you.
Anumla, Bodon. It is good to see you both alive and well.
Hear any news on Indra?
No, and I don't suspect we will. You were right, old friend. It was like trying to grasp the wind. However, it seems we have an even more able warrior in our midst. I thank you, companion, for keeping Anumla safe.
Don't be so sure. It's not like the old days. Maybe this time, it was me doing the saving. Ha ha ha!
It wouldn't be the first time, my dear Swamp Knight. You proved yourself that night in Thorn, and countless times thereafter. Now, I hate to delay our reunion, but I would like to speak with the companion alone. The two of you order a drink, and we will join you shortly. Companion, will you come and speak with me outside? First, I want to thank you once more for protecting Anumla. She is like a daughter to me, and had our company survived, I was to leave it to her. True, but she has always fought better when she fights for someone other than herself. I wanted to ask you for your thoughts on Bodan. Do you find him trustworthy? Remember though, she is naive. She grew up alone, and we are her family. She would be blind if Bodan sought to betray her. No, I trust him now more than ever. For you see, the best way to solidify one's beliefs is to challenge them. You are perceptive, companion. You have the makings of a great leader. Yes, I misled the three of you earlier when I said I could not find Indrel. I neglected to mention that she was more than eager to find me. She was adamant that Bodan was a traitor. She believed he was only in the company for vengeance. She also said that Ula Wei would never let his guard down unless the killer was someone he trusted. Lastly, the motive. She said Bodan never forgave us for what happened in that cave. It made us no different than the ones who killed his wife. I admit, I was tempted to believe it. However, after talking with you and getting a fresh perspective, it's clear that Indrel was wrong. Now, do you have any questions for me? I am sure there is much you wish to know. Ah, a good question. I don't know if she told you, but I had sent her invitation to another. She must have found it on a courier, as there was truly no other explanation. Bodan seems to think I chose her as a symbol, to be the one member of the company who was truly clean. That is the bard's way of thinking. A swordsman doesn't consider metaphors and the like. The truth is, I never expected her to stay. I thought that after the first night, she would go scurrying off back into the swamp. Throughout our years together, I kept waiting for her to buckle, waiting for that moment where I would be forced to send her home, once and for all. But she never did, and I never had to. In truth, as of right now, I've decided to stop thinking about it altogether. Indrel's words were poisonous, even though her intentions were noble. The last thing we need is to turn on each other. The assassin will come to us. There is no need to divine who he is. To answer that, I must take you back to the Great War. Before then, most of my experience came in tournaments and the arena. You risked your life, but there were always rules, a knight's code. But war is different. The horrors I've seen, I would wish them upon no mortal. You learn that under all the pomp and pageantry, we truly are nothing more than beasts. Yet, what I couldn't live with was my own guilt. Countless times I chose my loyalty to the military over doing what was right. Those horrors, you see, were mine. When the war was over, I vowed to never let loyalty cloud my judgment again. I would do what was honorable and stay committed to what was right. The Honorable Eight was a company founded on that principle. In war, people chase victory at all costs. Come death or glory, the one thing we would never do is compromise our beliefs. We rest and we wait. Don't worry, I had a good long nap on the way here. I'll stand watch until tomorrow.
I hope I'm not interrupting. but our dear Swamp Knight nearly burst through the door waiting for you to return.
Not at all, Bodan. In fact, I was just about to have our friend summon you.
Is everything all right?
Yes, everything is fine. I have a request, however. I know you said you would never play that song again. Yet, right now, if you would do your old friend a favor, I would like to hear it one last time. For the ones we lost, and the ones we grieve.
Dalume, you're the one who gave me peace. For you, I'll play, and pray the gods answer.
Traveler, Bodan and Dalume, they're gone. Bodan wouldn't have left without leaving a note. It must be around here somewhere. You found something. What does it say? Dalume? No, I refuse to believe it. Let me see that note. Bodan, thank you. There's only one place I can think of. The marsh. Come on, maybe we can still do something.
Rest easy, my friend. It'll be over soon. When you reach the other side, give Leliana my regards.
The day we met, I didn't want to come. But you insisted. You were always right.
I wish it felt that way. Goodbye, my brother.
No!
I'm sorry, little hatchling. I know you loved Bodan, as did I.
Dalume, I stood by you, trusted you. Is this what you call a knight's honor?
I understand your anger. Mundale, Elia, Arnwolf, Ulawe, and Bodan. With every loss, a piece of me died with them. Yet I made a vow when I formed the Honorable Eight to stand by what I believed was right, even if it meant slaying our own. That is what it means to be a knight. That is the very definition of honor.
And I swore my own vow to protect the lives of my friends and to never let another innocent die.
Then stand by your vow, Swamp Knight, as I will mine. Show me my lessons were not in vain. For honor.
Take that, you fiend! It was a tree like this, sitting on a tiny island. The 7 of them were standing there, waiting for the 8th. I marched up to them, lashing my tail against the water. I said, I heard this company is in need of a true knight. Well, the no further. They all laughed, all except Dalome. He walked up to me, shook my hand, and said, "Welcome." I don't know if what he did was the honorable thing, but he believed it was, and that's a burden few are willing to bear. Now, having slain him, I know his pain. It's over. May Dalome find the peace in death he could not find in life. No, I'll be all right, traveler. I just needed a moment to say goodbye. For all he did and all he put me through, I still forgive him. More than that, I understand him. All he ever wanted was to be clean. Thank you, traveler. I'll do my best to remember the fallen. Moontail for his surprises, Arnwolf for his laugh, Bodan for his wisdom, Woolaway for his cunning, and Elia for being the sister I never had. And of course, Dalome for taking pity on a little hatchling from the swamp and showing her the way. Ulaway never spoke much, but when he did, people listened. Even Arnwolf trusted him, and I've never known a Nord to heed the advice of a lizard. He strode through the swamps like a cold breeze, and I realized how clumsy I was in comparison. That is, until a week after we boarded a ship for elsewhere. The Khajiit Lord had heard of our feats and commissioned us for a job in Yorval. Ulaway was our scout, and by tradition, he always went first. But when he placed his feet on that desert sand, he started to wobble, and his tail lashed recklessly. I couldn't believe my eyes. He was struggling for balance. I've seen drunken jesters with more grace. The poor fool came to the desert and thought he didn't need any boots. We used to ask Moontail which clan he was from, and every day it was a different clan. Twice he swore that we were hatched from the same mother. How dare you forget your own sibling, he'd say. Dalum A never told us who the conjurer was, but according to him, Moontail had already told us countless times. There were truths in every lie, parts of different stories that told the same tale, and if you pieced it all together, you would know. On dreary nights, Bodan would lift our spirits with a song, and when he sang, our spirits would indeed lift, provided Arnwolf didn't join him. But on some nights, when he thought everyone was asleep, he would drift out into the swamp, where only the gods and the Hist could hear his tune. He would play a song that wasn't part of his normal routine, a solemn dirge about a lost love, a song so sad it moved the trees to tears.